Today's story ends with a confession broadcast to 40 strangers.
Wait, she basically accidentally proposed over a gym speaker. I can't.
I am still not over it, not even slightly. Proper mortified even now.
Inspired by the kind of story you'd find on Reddit, today's episode concerns a gym, a broken Bluetooth speaker, and one woman's very loud, very public declaration of feelings she absolutely did not intend to share.
I want it on record that I did nowt wrong. I was the victim, complete and utter victim.
Okay, so here's the bold claim. Sophie single-handedly cleared out an entire gym floor with 6 words. 6 words, I counted.
6 words, we will get to those 6 words. But first, let us set the scene. It is a Tuesday morning, the quietest, most peaceful day at any gym. Sophie has been going to this particular gym for about 3 months. And for approximately 2 months and 3 weeks of those 3 months, she has had what she describes as a small, manageable crush on one of the personal trainers.
It was dead manageable. I could walk past him without going red, most days. That's basically professional.
She asked me what his name was like 4 times in 1 week. That's not manageable, Sophie. That's a situation.
His name was difficult to remember. It was, look, that's not the point.
The point is that Sophie and Jake are friends outside the gym as well. Jake, who works in tech, had recently helped Sophie set up a new Bluetooth speaker that she used for her workouts. A small, powerful little device that she kept in her gym bag. Now, what Sophie did not realize, and this is where Jake becomes relevant to our story, is that Jake had also connected that speaker to the gym's own audio system as a test. Just temporarily, Jake assured her.
Okay, in my defense, and I do have a defense, I was trying to help her get better sound quality. The gym's speakers are like genuinely excellent, top tier. I just wanted to see if they'd pair. It was a technical curiosity, not sabotage.
He forgot to tell me. That's the bit he always skips over. He forgot to tell me.
I forgot to tell her. Yes, that part is true.
So, Tuesday morning, Sophie arrives at the gym, pops in her earbuds, which are separate from the speaker, puts her bag down near the free weights section, and hits play on a voice note she'd been meaning to send to Jake. A voice note she had recorded the previous evening, on the sofa, in private.
I genuinely thought I was sending it to Jake on my phone. I do voice notes all the time. It's dead efficient. You can say in 30 seconds what would take 5 minutes to type.
The voice note was not efficient. The voice note was like 2.5 minutes of Sophie processing her feelings out loud. It was beautiful, but it was not efficient.
Oh, don't you dare call it beautiful. Don't you dare romanticize what happened to me.
What happened, for those of you who have not yet pieced it together, is that Sophie pressed play on that voice note, and instead of it playing privately through her earbuds, it played through her Bluetooth speaker, which was still paired with the gym's ceiling-mounted audio system. Every speaker, every corner, every single person in that building heard it.
The music just stopped. 1 second there was like a perfectly normal dance track playing, and then my voice, just my voice bouncing off every wall.
I need to reenact this. Can I reenact this? Because Sophie described it to me so vividly, I feel like I was there.
Go on then, reenact.
Okay, so imagine you're in the gym, right? You're on the treadmill, you're in the zone, and then suddenly over the speakers you hear, and I'm going to do my best Sophie impression, apologies in advance. Jake, I don't know what to do about this. He's so fit. And I just feel like every time he walks past me, I completely lose the ability to make small talk.
Stop. I cannot hear that back. That is my actual voice coming out of your mouth, and it is horrifying.
Small talk, let's pause on that phrase for a moment, because it comes up a lot in this story. Small talk means light, casual conversation, the kind you make with someone you don't know very well. Things like commenting on the weather or asking how someone's weekend was. It's polite, it's comfortable, it doesn't go very deep. And Sophie, according to her own very public voice note, had lost the ability to do it.
Which is embarrassing enough when it's just in your head, but announcing it to an entire gym full of people, that's something else entirely. I'm usually dead good at small talk. I can small talk with anyone, strangers, sharp assistants, the lot. But him, nothing. My brain just went blank.
And then, okay, this is the part, this is the 6 words. The voice note keeps going and Sophie says, and I quote, "I think I might actually like him." Boom, 6 words, over the PA system.
I heard it come out of the ceiling, and I think I genuinely left my body for a second.
The gym reacted, shall we say, with some interest. A few people on the treadmills actually slowed down. Someone dropped a dumbbell, and the personal trainer in question, let's just say he was standing approximately 4 meters away from Sophie when the words rang out.
I saw him look up. He looked up at the ceiling speaker, then looked around the room, and then, and I will never recover from this, his eyes landed on me. Because I had gone the color of a tomato, I was the only person in the room who looked like they wanted to die.
Honestly, his face sounds like it was priceless. What was his expression?
He looked surprised, and then this is the bit I can't decide if it's good or catastrophic. He smiled. Not a laughing at me smile, like a proper smile.
Now, before we get to what happened next, let's talk about what Sophie did in the immediate aftermath, because her instinct, understandably, was to save face, which means to protect your reputation or dignity in an embarrassing situation, to do something so that people don't think less of you, and Sophie's plan to save face was creative.
I decided to pretend it wasn't me. I picked up my water bottle and walked very calmly to the other side of the gym. Like, that voice, no idea, never heard it before, could be anyone's voice note.
She texted me like 30 seconds after. The text just said Jake, in capitals. That's it, just my name. I knew immediately that something had gone catastrophically wrong.
What else was I supposed to say? "Hello Jake, your little speaker experiment has just broadcast my private feelings to 40 strangers and one very fit personal trainer. Please advise."
Jake called immediately, and this is where things somehow got more complicated, because while Sophie was on the phone to Jake, trying to quietly explain what had happened, the trainer walked over to her, which meant Sophie had to deal with an incoming social interaction while simultaneously trying to gesture wildly at Jake to stop talking.
I could hear the footsteps. I was like, "Sophie, someone's coming, aren't they?" And she just went completely silent on the phone, total silence. I was so stressed.
He just walked up and went, very quietly, very kind, not making a big thing of it. He went, "Hey, I think your speaker might be connected to our system." And I genuinely said this, "Oh, is it? How funny. How funny, like it had naught to do with me."
Sophie was attempting what you might call icebreaking, trying to ease the tension of an awkward moment with light humor or a casual remark. It's a useful social skill, icebreaking, using a joke or a friendly comment to make a tense situation feel more comfortable. The problem was, Sophie's attempt at icebreaking required her to pretend she had no idea whose voice had just announced romantic feelings over the PA, which was a difficult position to maintain, given that she was bright red and visibly shaking.
Icebreaking is like a legit skill, and Sophie is usually great at it. She's the person at any awkward party who just whoosh breaks the ice. Suddenly everyone's chatting. But in this case, the ice was like 2 feet thick.
The ice was the whole Atlantic Ocean, Jake.
And then he did something rather unexpected. He looked at Sophie, this woman who had just said, "How funny," about her own secret feelings being broadcast across a building, and he said, "For what it's worth, I think I might actually like you too."
I dropped my phone.
I heard it hit the floor. There was this massive crack on my end and then just nothing. And I'm standing in my kitchen like, "Sophie, Sophie."
I cracked my screen, completely, but honestly in that moment I did not care one bit.
Now here is where the story does something rather lovely, because what had been, by any measure, one of the most mortifying social situations a person can find themselves in, having your private feelings announced to a room full of strangers, accidentally became something quite different, an honest moment, a genuine connection, the kind of thing that usually takes weeks of carefully crafted small talk to arrive at.
And this is what I think about, like, Sophie and I have talked about this a lot. Sometimes the social situations that feel the most catastrophic are the ones where you accidentally stop pretending. You know, like the mask just falls off. And weirdly, that can actually bring people together.
I mean, yes, in hindsight. In the moment I was mortified, proper mortified. There's no other word for it.
Mortified, another good word for your vocabulary today. It means deeply ashamed or embarrassed, usually by something that happened publicly, not just a little bit embarrassed, truly, profoundly mortified. Sophie was mortified. The gym was witness to it, and yet.
And yet he asked if I wanted to grab a coffee after, right there in the gym, just asked, and I said yes, obviously.
She texted me 40 minutes later. The text said we're getting coffee and I screamed, literally screamed. My neighbor knocked on the wall.
The funny thing is, and I do think it's funny now, I fully accept the humor of the situation. If the speaker hadn't been connected, I probably would have just carried on doing my awkward small talk attempts for another 3 months, and nowt would have happened.
There is, of course, a social skill that sits on the other side of all this, one that Sophie and Jake both agree was missing from the entire equation: self-disclosure. That's when you voluntarily share personal information about yourself with another person, your feelings, your thoughts, your experiences. Healthy self-disclosure builds trust and closeness. Involuntary self-disclosure over a PA system builds, well, coffee dates, apparently.
Self-disclosure is genuinely one of the most important social skills there is. Like people who are good at reading the room and knowing when to open up. They just connect with people so much faster. Sophie just, skipped the reading the room part and went straight to full self-disclosure. In front of 40 witnesses.
I have never been more aware of a room in my entire life. Reading the room, I was reading every single face in that room. The man on the rowing machine, the woman doing lunges, the teenager who actually took out his earphones to hear better. All of them. I saw all of them.
Reading the room, for our learners, that means understanding the mood, atmosphere, or feelings of the people around you in a social situation and adjusting what you say or do accordingly. A good communicator reads the room before they speak. Sophie's voice note did not read the room. It simply broadcast itself at the room.
Okay, but here's the thing, he read the room perfectly, right? He didn't make a big announcement back. He didn't embarrass her further. He just walked over quietly and said what he said. That is elite social awareness.
He is dead good at reading the room, actually. That's one of the things I like about him. He's very socially aware, which makes the whole thing even more embarrassing because he clearly saw right through my "how funny" act immediately.
Of course he did. Social awareness, or being socially aware, means being sensitive to how other people feel and understanding social cues. A social cue, by the way, is a signal, verbal or nonverbal, that tells you something about what another person is feeling or thinking. A frown, a pause, a change in tone of voice, these are all social cues. And the social cue of a woman turning scarlet while her own voice played over the speakers is perhaps the least subtle social cue in human history.
The least subtle, absolutely. I was not sending mixed signals, put it that way.
Mixed signals, oh, that's a good one. When someone's actions and words don't match up so you can't tell how they really feel. Sophie sent 0 mixed signals. If anything, she sent one enormous, crystal clear, ceiling-mounted signal.
I was not sending mixed signals, I was sending a broadcast. There's a difference.
And now, some weeks later, Sophie is still going to the same gym. She has not, to her credit, switched to a different one out of embarrassment. She has what you might call a standing arrangement with the personal trainer for coffee after Tuesday sessions. And Jake has been formally and very firmly asked to never touch her Bluetooth settings again.
I've been banned from all her devices, every single one. It's a full tech ban, which I think is an overreaction personally.
It is not an overreaction. It is a reasonable and proportionate response to having my private feelings announced over a PA system to 40 people and a treadmill.
The treadmill, notably, did not react, perhaps the most composed member of the audience that day.
The treadmill kept going. Respect to the treadmill.
I want to be the treadmill in every social situation. Just keep going, unbothered, no feelings announced to anyone.
And that is where we leave today's story. A gym, a forgotten Bluetooth connection, 6 words over a PA system, and one rather lovely outcome that nobody, least of all Sophie, could have predicted.
If that made you laugh or cringe, honestly, both are valid. Drop us a like. It genuinely helps the channel so much.
And follow us so you never miss another story like this one. New ones every week. and some of them are even more mortifying than mine. Allegedly.
Subscribe to English Through Stories. We are here every week with a new story, new vocabulary, and new reasons to be grateful your feelings have never been announced over a public address system.
See you on the next one.